Most people who try to save $10,000 quit somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000, not because they ran out of money, but because they ran out of belief. Have you ever saved up a decent amount, felt genuinely good about it, then watched it disappear inside 1 week? That exact feeling is what this video is about. By the end of this, you'll know precisely why it keeps happening and the specific system that gets you through it permanently. Hit subscribe if you want to keep running the real math. It's not $50,000. It's not $1,000. The number that destroys most people's financial lives is exactly $10,000. And there's a real reason for that. At $1,000, your savings feel small. You're careful. At $100,000, you feel secure. But $10,000 sits in a dangerous middle zone, real enough to spend, not large enough to protect. Behavioral research consistently shows that impulse spending rises sharply once people cross the $5,000 savings threshold. You feel wealthy before you actually are. That feeling is the trap. There's also something I call the emergency magnet effect. The moment your savings look healthy, life suddenly discovers expensive problems. Car, medical bill, family situation. It isn't coincidence. It's because you now have something to drain. Emergencies don't multiply, your willingness to reach into savings does. That's the distinction nobody ever names out loud. And then there's the motivation cliff. The early excitement of watching your balance climb fades. The goal still feels distant, but the sacrifices feel very real right now, today. That combination, false security, rising temptation, real-life emergencies, and vanishing motivation is why 80% of people never actually cross the $10,000 line. Not once. Not cleanly. Let me tell you about the third time I watched my savings account go from $8,400 back to zero. Third time. Not the first. The third. I had built it slowly, $200 here, $350 there, skipping things I actually wanted. 8 months of that, watching the number grow, feeling like I was finally doing it right. Then, 2 things happened inside the same month. A car repair nobody could predict, and a trip I told myself I deserved. $8,400 gone in 23 days. The shame afterward isn't something people talk about. It isn't loud. It's quiet. It sits in your chest every time you open your banking app and see that number back near zero. And the worst part, I almost stopped trying. The logic felt airtight. I keep saving. Something keeps taking it. So what exactly is the point of this exercise? That thought, what's the point, is the most dangerous financial thought a person can have, because it sounds reasonable. It even feels reasonable. And it is completely wrong. The turning point wasn't a new income stream. It wasn't a windfall. It was understanding one thing. I was playing savings like a willpower game. It is actually a systems game. Willpower runs out. Systems don't need motivation. That realization, that single shift, is what changed everything. And it took me 4 failures to finally see it. Now, let's talk about the 5 invisible traps that specifically drain savings at the $10,000 level. Most people fall into at least 3 of them without ever knowing they exist. Trap 1, lifestyle creep. When your savings balance rises, your daily spending quietly rises with it. Nicer coffee, better restaurants, small treats that feel completely justified. They are lethal. The math is brutal here. You save $400 that month. You spend an extra $310 on things that feel minor. Your net progress is $90. You feel like you saved $400. You didn't. Trap to the liquid money trap. Keeping savings in your regular checking account is the single most expensive mistake most savers make. There is no barrier, no friction, no psychological separation. Money you can see alongside your spending money is your spending money. Your brain does not distinguish between the two, even when you tell it to. The account does the deciding. Trap 3, visible goal, invisible system. You have a target, $10,000, but you have no mechanism, no auto transfer, no separate account, no weekly review. You're relying purely on discipline. Discipline always loses to a bad week. A hard Tuesday, a frustrating Friday, a weekend where you just need to feel normal again. Systems don't have bad weeks. Discipline absolutely does. Trap 4. The social drain. Weddings. Trips just come this once. The social cost of saving is completely real, and almost nobody prepares for it. Your relationships cost money. Consistently. Nobody frames it this way, but your social calendar is a competing financial priority, and it wins on emotion every single time, because saying no to people feels worse than saying no to a spreadsheet. Trap 5. Emergency fund. Confusion. Most people save $10,000 as one general pile of money with no rules attached, so every problem feels like a completely legitimate reason to use it. Without specific rules governing when that money moves, any excuse qualifies. Dentist bill qualifies. Concert tickets qualify. They both feel urgent in the moment. One of them isn't? You spend both. Here's a system I wish someone handed me before I failed 4 times. It isn't complicated, but it is specific. And specific is exactly what makes it actually work. Step 1. Split the $10,000 into 3 separate buckets with 3 separate jobs. Bucket A, $4,000. Emergency only. Bucket B, $3,000. Opportunity and growth. Bucket C, $3,000. Life buffer. Money with a job is harder to spend. That's not a motivational phrase. It's a documented pattern in behavioral economics. Labeled money gets protected. Unlabeled money gets consumed. Bucket A covers job loss, hospitalization, or a destroyed engine. That's it. Not a vacation, not a vibe. 3 specific scenarios written down, governing one specific account. Rules make the money real. Bucket B is your first investment seed and future income layer. It isn't for spending. It's for building a small index fund position, a course that earns back, something that compounds. Bucket C exists specifically so you stop feeling deprived. Social events, irregular expenses, the guilt-free purchase that doesn't destroy your progress. It has a limit. When it's gone until next month. Step 2. Build a friction wall around Bucket. Move it to a high-yield savings account at a completely different bank from your everyday checking. Remove the debit card access entirely. Add a 2-day transfer delay if your bank allows it. Label the account with its specific rule. The friction isn't inconvenience. It's protection. Make accessing it slightly harder than accessing anything else. Step 3. Automate the saving, not the willpower. Set an auto transfer on payday before you ever see the money sitting in your account. Before you can make a decision about it, start with whatever feels too small to matter. That discomfort at how small the number is, that is the correct starting number. Consistency of habit matters infinitely more than size of transfer right now. Step 4. Replace the motivation cliff with a reward ladder. Every $1,000 milestone earns a small pre-planned reward. A meal out, a day trip, something real that costs real money. This isn't indulgence, it's behavioral conditioning. Research on habit formation shows that variable rewards at predictable intervals dramatically increase behavior repetition. You're making saving feel like it pays. Because it should. Step 5, do a weekly 5-minute money check-in every Sunday. Same time, no exceptions. Not to stress yourself out, just to stay in contact with your actual financial reality. Disconnection from your numbers is what allows spending to silently spiral for weeks before you notice. 5 minutes of awareness prevents $800 of unconscious drift. That is a hell measurable trade. Even with the right system running, there'll be a specific moment, usually around the $6,000 mark, where you genuinely want to blow it all. That moment is coming. Here's how to survive it. First, recognize the dip as a signal, not a stop sign. The desire to quit at this exact stage is universal among people building their first $10,000. It means you're close, not failure. Second, use the future self technique. Write down physically on paper what $10,000 in savings would specifically mean for your life. Read that when you're tempted. Not a vision board, a written statement. Third, find one accountability point, not a financial advisor. Just one person who asks you once a month, How's the savings going? Accountability, compresses, timelines, one question, once a month. That's it. Fourth, implement the 48-hour rule for every non-emergency withdrawal. Any impulse to pull from savings requires a 2-day wait before acting. Most urges don't survive 48 hours. Most, not all. Most. Fifth, reframe the hardest moments as proof, not punishment. The struggle at $6,000 isn't evidence that you can't do this. It's evidence that what you're building actually means something significant to your life. The shame, the silence, the starting over. Those three things are not failure. They are the tuition for the only financial education that actually changes behavior. The kind you pay for with experience. The 5 traps. Lifestyle creep, liquid money, no system behind the goal, social drain, and emergency fund confusion with no rules. If you fell into any of those, you now know why. That's the diagnosis. The 5 steps split into 3 buckets. Build friction around the emergency fund, automate before you see it, reward every milestone, check in weekly. That is the complete system. Nothing extra needed. Drop a like if this helped you finally see the pattern clearly. And if you've tried to hit $10,000 before and failed, drop it in the comments. You'll be surprised how many people are sitting at $7,800 right now, wondering if they're the only one. They are not. The first $10,000 isn't just savings. It's proof to yourself that you can do hard financial things. Everything after it gets easier. Not because money gets easier, because you become someone different in the process. Next week, what actually happens to your money psychology the moment you cross $10,000 and why most people make a critical mistake right after hitting the goal. You don't want to miss that one.